Alright, so you're going to cut a piece of clay off of your brick about this big. You're going to get the bottom so that it's kind of sticky, and you're going to throw it down in the middle of the wheel. You're going to get your finger wet and drag it around the bottom to help stick it to the wheel. If at this point your clay starts like sliding off, that means that you got way too much water in here. You need to get a paper towel, wipe off the bottom, wipe off the wheel, and get it re-stuck again. Okay, so if it keeps sliding, it means it's too wet. Alright, the first thing we have to do before we can make anything is get this clay into the center of the wheel. You're going to stick, everybody do this too, stick your left hand out like you're shaking someone's hand, okay, just do it. You're going to grab your thumb with your right hand and you're going to have your sponge too. And this is how your hands are going to push on the clay. Your left hand, you're going to tip this so it's like an L from your body pushing against the clay. And your right hand, you're going to be holding onto your hand, your thumb here like pliers. Your right hand right here, like a karate chop, is going to be pushing the top down. So this hand's going to be making that top flat. This part right here is going to be making the side flat. So it's going to look like a round cake when you get done. So you're going to just put your hands together like this. You need to scoot your butt as close, you need to get as close to the wheel as you can get so that the weight of your arms, weight of your body is behind your arms. So also if you look at my left arm right here, you're going to hook this into the corner of your leg so that when the clay hits you, it's not going to go anywhere because the weight of your body is behind you. If you try and center like this, it's going to freaking shake your arms around all day. You're never going to be able to center it. Like I'm actually flexing my arms trying to center this clay right now, and it's really, really hard to do. So you need to lean over, keep your arms tucked in tight, and have the weight of your body behind your arms. You also need to keep your clay really wet so that it centers and so your hands don't drag. When your clay is centered, it will look like it's not spinning at all. And that's when you know that you're ready to move on to the next step. One thing to remember when you're centering is that you need to take your hands off slow. A lot of kids will think that they have it locked in like this, and then they'll take their hands off quickly, and it'll make a shake because like your hands haven't given equal pressure to the entire shape. Like it's only like you get half of the shape, and then you take your hands off quickly, so it makes a wobble. So if you think you've got it good, lock it in, take your hands off really slow. What else? That's pretty centered right there. Anything like worse than that, like that's definitely not centered. You don't want to start until it's centered. And unfortunately, it's just one of those things that's really frustrating. But you just need to keep practicing and pushing on the clay until you get that your piece of clay locked in and it looks like it's not spinning at all. Alright, okay, so after your clay is centered, you're going to open the clay. You're going to rest your hands on the piece of clay right here, still your arms are tucked in tight, and you're going to go down through the center. You do not want to not have your hands on the clay. Like I'll see kids try and do this. You don't want to do that. You want to find center exactly. Also, you don't ever want to have your arms away from your body, ever at any point. So you're going to keep your arms tucked in tight. We're going to go down about a ½ inch from the bottom. And you can test that with your needle tool. Okay, so that's good. So I'm going to stop. The next step is called the claw. And you're going to hook your middle finger of your left hand over the edge of this, and I'm going to put my right hand on my wrist here, and I'm going to drag this shape and widen out the base. Still, your arms are tucked in tight, and I'm just stretching this out until it's about that wide, and then I'm going to slowly take my hands off. So I'm making like sort of like an ashtray shape. It has really thick sides, but you need to have a flat base. And then we're going to pinch this clay and lift all of this up. If you get to this point, and this happens a lot, so I'm going to show you what to do. A lot of kids will get to the donut shape, like they'll have stretched the base, and then they have something that looks like this. It has a giant wobble in it. And then they'll just like power through and still try and make something, but it's always going to suck because it already has a shape. So you need to recenter this donut shape. To do that, you need to get your hands on all sides of this. Some kids will like try and recenter it like this, but all you're doing is fixing the outside and pushing the wobble either to the middle or to the top. Like you have to hold on to all sides of this and recenter the entire shape. So I have my sponge, and with this hand I'm like grabbing the inside and the outside, and this hand is pushing on the top. And I've got my sponge, of course, to keep everything so that it's wet, and I'm going to recenter the donut shape. So now it's locked back in, and I'm ready to do a pull. Always keep your wheel clean and your hands clean. The more stuff you have spinning around on your wheel, it is going to sand your hands. And also, it's just kind of hard to tell like what you're working with. You don't want to keep a bunch of stuff on here. Okay, to do a pull, left hand's always in, right hand is always out, and you're going to be about 4 or 5 o'clock right here. You're going to pinch at the bottom of this, and there's going to be a ring of clay that forms on top of your fingers, and you're just going to slowly lift that ring up. You need to push harder with your outside hand to keep this going into a cylinder, and that's what we're making right now. If you do equal pressure, it's going to make a bowl every time because the centrifugal force of the wheel is already pushing the shape out, so you have to try and push against that with your outside hand to make it go straight. So arms tucked in tight always. You're going to lean over your project. I'm just applying pressure at the bottom of this, and I'm just slowly following that ring up to the top, and then I'm releasing pressure slowly and taking my hands away. I pull with my sponge in my right hand, so you're just going to pinch down here at the bottom. The larger your project gets, you definitely want to slow the speed of your wheel down. Things will feel really out of control if your wheel's going too fast. You don't want to pull all the way through the top. You want to get like close to the top and then release pressure. Also, you only ever want to work right here. A lot of kids, like, they'll feel out of control, so they'll like stop the wheel, and then they'll try and like fix something, which is the worst thing you can do because you've immediately made it unsymmetrical. Like I've touched this, and now that side's different than this side because it wasn't spinning. So you never want to touch this when the wheel's not spinning. Also, I'll see kids like thinking like, oh crap, that went weird when I was doing that, so I guess I'll like try and do this or this, working against the spin. That's terrible. You always want to be right here. The only way to fix any like misstep you've made is to go back exactly to 4 o'clock, left hand in, right hand out, and keep your hands super steady. If you've created a wobble, the only way to fix that wobble is to make your hands like so they don't move, and to follow the clay up again so the wobble hits your hands and is forced into becoming like straight walls. If you do pull through the top, because this will happen, hopefully it doesn't, but it probably will. Like you pull through the top edge and you mess it up somehow, you can cut that off. Just trim off your mistake and try and salvage what you've got left. You can still lock that in, and you've got a lot of clay down here that you can keep stretching. What else do you guys need to know? I think that's it right now. Let's cut this and look at it. So your cylinder, you're not going to save. You're going to pass it off with me, and then I'll do a bowl demo to show you guys how to make a bowl. So you want your walls to be about like this, and at the beginning, your walls are going to be kind of wonky, like they're going to be uneven, and that's fine. But you know, the better you get, you'll be able to get some even walls. When you mess up, and that's going to happen, you're going to clean everything off of your wheel. Will you give me a wooden triangle, Taylor? How about in the other tray? Is there one?
Yeah, that right there.
When you mess up, you do not want to do this. Kids were doing this all day yesterday, and I wanted to die. Just packing this down like this and starting again. This clay is super weak now. It has had all this water on it. It's like way gooey compared to how it was when I got it out of the bag. It's never going to be strong enough to hold a wall, and so you're just going to keep messing with this, and it's just like a pile of slop, basically. Also, you've packed all these air bubbles into it just by smashing it down. So if you mess up, you're going to clean all of this off, and we're going to go dry it out. So you're going to clean your wheel. And I don't know why kids don't do this. I think they think it's going to be too hard, but it's far easier to just go dry it out and come back to work with something that will actually be something that's workable. Just going to bring this over here to the wedging table. Come on over. Thanks, Allie. Come on over.
Over there, Warner.
Okay. So you're going to use the scraper. You're going to clean yourself off a piece of this table that doesn't have dry, crunchy things on it. You're going to get some clay powder, and you're going to kind of sift it onto your clay. There are some hard pieces in here because when people put their wet hands in, it dries to hard pieces, and you don't want to get those in your clay. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to wedge this clay. And what we're accomplishing by doing this is we're drying the clay out, and we're getting all the air bubbles out. And you're going to continue to add powder to this and wedge it until it is like the same consistency that it was when you took it out of your bag. When you wedge, you're going to push your palms into the clay. You're going to pick it up and roll it like a half turn towards yourself and just continue to do this. And if you're wedging right, it looks like Donald Duck. Is that good, Allie?
That was good.
Okay. You don't want to be lazy about this. You really want to dry your clay out and make sure that you're getting rid of all your air bubbles. Okay. Also, I didn't say this, I don't think, but when you get new clay from your bag, if you're cutting it straight off the brick, you do not need to wedge it because it's already, all the air's already been vacuumed out of it, so you can just like cut a chunk and go throw that. But if it's like extra scrap pieces that you've already cut from something else, you need to wedge it prior to throwing it on your wheel. Okay? So this is ready to throw again now. You can only use the same piece, I would say a maximum of 3 times. When you're centering, and the longer it takes you to center and do any of the process, all the really fine like particles of clay spin out into your throwing pan, and you're left with like the really gritty stuff that's really sandy, and it's going to start hurting your hands. And it's just not as stable as a new piece of clay. So after like 2-3 throws, you're going to chuck this piece and get a new one. And so you'll probably go through a couple pieces at the beginning until you figure it out. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, you can shut that off. Thank you. Let's do